You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Mean Girls. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Mean Girls is a 2024 comedic musical directed by Samantha James and Arturo Perez Jr. The film follows new student Katie Heron, who gets welcomed into the elite force of popularity at her new school known as the Plastics. However, when Katie makes the mistake of falling for Queen Bee, Regina George's ex-boyfriend, she finds herself deeply in their crosshairs. Once again, Mean Girls is written by Tina Fey as well as Neil Benjamin and stars Renee Rapp, Andre Rice, Christopher Briney, Avantika Vandanapu, Bibi Wood, auli'i Cravajo, Jaquil Spivey, and once again stars Tina Fey and Tim Meadows. So obviously, as a millennial, I adore Mean Girls, the original film from the 2000s starring Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams is an iconic classic in my books that I will always cherish. Now, admittedly, I personally have not seen the stage musical, but I've heard varying reports. Some people love it, some people not so much. So, stage musicals are pretty hit or miss with me anyway. I kind of just steered clear. So when I heard they were doing an adaptation of the musical that is based on the original film that I love, I was very nervous. And those trailers didn't really appease me, to be honest. But clearly, I was overcome by Mean Girls mania. I saw this on a Wednesday, so naturally, we wear pink on Wednesdays. And I went in prepared for a fun time. And overall, I think that's what Mean Girls 2024 delivers. A perfectly fun time. Nothing more, nothing less, just a fun time. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, the big positive for me here is that once again, it's quite funny. I was giggling, I was laughing throughout the film, both at old jokes that were either referential to the original Mean Girls film or just lifted straight from that film, and Tina Fey used them once again for this one. Because let's be honest, there are certain moments, certain lines from that original film you just can't cut. You'll be crucified if you don't include in a remake, and they're here. But also, a lot of the new jokes I found to be really fun, really funny as well. We do spins on a lot of the moments from the first film or variations on those moments, but we spice them up just a little bit. And I was laughing at a lot of the new material. The MVPs for me were auli'i Carvalho and Jaquil Spivey. Yeah, Janet and Damien, once again, are the icons of the film. Jaquil Spivey was hilarious, a great update to the character of Damien. He killed it. And then auli'i Carvalho brought a different energy to Janice while staying true to the original feeling of the character. It was still, she was able to make it her own while still staying true to that character. It was really wonderful work. And they both have amazing voices. Knowing this was a musical, I was so excited auli'i Carvalho was here, and they let her sing a lot. And of course, she killed it. Honestly, most of the singing was really good. And that brings me actually around to Renee Rapp, who plays the iconic Regina George. Vocals, tens across the board. She sounded amazing, and I thought she killed it as Regina. She stepped into these iconic shoes, obviously not totally delivering what we know and love from Miss Rachel McAdams, but still bringing that ferocity and that attitude needed for the character and doing so very well. I would say most all the rest of our cast was also good, just struggled to reach the heights that those three were able to deliver. It also just motors right through at only an hour and 52 minutes. It doesn't have a lot of downtime. The musical numbers fill any empty space that might be there in the first place, but it is a fun time from start to finish. And then we have to talk about the music itself, right? And I think overall the music is fun. There are some weird songs in here, some songs that certainly didn't land all that well, but then there are some really great songs that are really fun, and the musical numbers and set pieces that they put with them are just as fun. So the music is hit or miss, but when it hits, it is really good. But I guess a hit or miss item is gonna segue us into the negatives. So what doesn't work so well when it comes to Mean Girls 2024? Oh, well, my main problem is the script, and that really bleeds down to all of my problems in the film overall. I think this film really struggles in narrowing down the musical, which is much longer, and also remaking the iconic film version of Mean Girls and blending them into a new adaptation of both of those. So I think a lot of the like development and character moments, the plotting, the dialogue from the 2004 film get lost here and are kind of supplemented with musical numbers. Sometimes those musical numbers don't do enough explanation. They don't do enough storytelling to compensate for the lack of character and story beats that get cut in this rendition. And overall, it makes Katie Heron suffer a lot as a character. Her development through this film wasn't very strong for me. It's nowhere near as convincing as the Lindsay Lohan iteration of the character, but also just on its own, we don't really get the big hits that you're supposed to get. We don't see this big transformation of Katie Heron. It kind of just happens at the blink of an eye. Everything in this film with her character just happens. One day it's there and that's it. And you have to just kind of accept it. So I'm gonna give Andre Rice some leeway here because I also don't think her performance, her portrayal was all that great. But I'm gonna give it to the writing here. The writing for Katie just wasn't there. And it's really difficult to sell this film if the writing for Katie, the character development for Katie, the complete arc of Katie isn't there. So really, if you haven't watched that 2004 film, you're having to make some major leaps with the screenplay. So it kind of plays like a greatest hits, just touching on all these story beats and then relying on you, the audience, to have previous knowledge of the material to fill in those gaps as we move through the story. So the screenplay, it just didn't really work for me. And really that goes across the board for all of the characters. None of them are all that developed. Outside of, once again, probably Janice and Damien, who have the most character, period, in this film. All the other characters feel quite shallow. Which I know it's Mean Girls, ha ha ha. But actually, once again, when you compare it to the 2004 film, sorry, it has to be done. It just has to be done. They all had pretty good character arcs in their film, and they're not here across the board. None of them. And this might come as a shock because, well, I'm kind of like SJW. I'm really all about social justice and not offending folks. I think they over sanitized it. We took the bite out of a lot of these jokes. I mean, anything that could have been vaguely offensive in the 2004 version, which there are some things, obviously, it's all scrubbed clean, clean, clean. And I think it's a little too sanitized. I think it kind of lost its bite because they were so worried about making sure it was as PC as it could be. Also, Aaron Samuels just doesn't compete where he doesn't compare. Sorry. This Aaron, all the way across the board, is not on par with that 2004 film. I'll just say that. So overall, as someone who adores the original film, it's impossible for me not to compare a remake written by the same writer, the same creator involved, even though it's adapting a stage play as well. It's still a remake of that original film as well. And it really just doesn't stack up. I'm sorry. In almost every case, for almost every for almost every character here. They just are not up to the same level as that original film, unfortunately. As I said, I don't really think it's the actor's fault in most cases. It's the writing is not as good, it's not as tight. So even when you let it just stand alone, you've never seen the 2004 film to compare it to. You don't know the stage musical. You just walk in for a coming of age teenage musical. Well, it's fun enough. It's not deep, has a little bit of pacing problems because of that script, but it's a good enough fun time. So if you're looking for a fun, kind of sassy musical that will have you laughing pretty consistently throughout, yeah, I think Mean Girls does the job. It hits that sweet spot. But if you're a mega fan of that 2004 original, well, lower those expectations. You can probably wait for this one to hit a cheap matinee. So that was my review for Mean Girls. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. And also join in on the discussion. Have you gotten to check out Mean Girls? Are you also a super fan of that 2004 film? Are you excited for a 2024 musical adaptation? Let me know all of your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.